Hello, how y'all doing? I'm going to talk today about Gary, Indiana. Now, what they're saying is that Gary, Indiana is a slum. Okay, that's what they're saying, which technically it is because, the main industries, whatever, have moved out and people just abandon their property or whatever. But see, the way I see it, it is a gold mine. It is definitely the answer to the homeless problem. Okay, if you are, you know what, most homeless people, they get some form of income. They either get a disability check, they either get a retirement check, or they get welfare or something. But they're not totally broke out there. They're selling drugs or whatever, selling sex or whatever. But homeless people are not broke as we think, because if you're totally broke, you cannot survive. But what, 2 days? You cannot survive out here but about 2 days. You cannot survive anywhere. Where I live, you cannot survive but 2 days. And if you're in California, you have no income. You cannot survive but 1 day. And then that 24 hours, you got to make a decision whether or not you're going to sell drugs, sell your body or whatever, because you can only survive 1 day in California without no money. So actually, homeless people in California, they get some kind of income, whether it's retirement income or whether it's Social Security, or whether it's Social Security, SSI, disability, or whether it's welfare or something. But they're going to get some kind of money from somewhere, because you cannot survive in California but 24 hours without money. Because you cannot, I don't think you can survive in any big city 48 hours, 2 days. Unless you had, without money. You cannot, not 2 days. Let's just say Nashville, Tennessee. You cannot survive in Nashville 2 days without money. You got to think of something to get some money in. You got to think of something to do. So Gary, Indiana is actually the solution to the homeless problem. Definitely in Indiana. And look, in fact, there's 2 states I don't understand why they even have a homeless problem. It's Indiana and Tennessee. Because Tennessee and Kentucky, there's no reason to be homeless. Because you can always buy properties that's been abandoned 30 years ago. And you can probably pay $300 for it. In Kentucky and Tennessee, in Alabama, you can pay just $45 for an abandoned lot. $45, okay? So there's certain states where there's no reason to be homeless, because you can buy these abandoned properties so dirt cheap. But Indiana, I do not understand. Now, if you're homeless in Indiana, you can buy all those. You can buy some of those tax delinquent properties and abandoned properties in Gary, Indiana. If you're homeless in Los Angeles or Portland, Oregon, which they have a big homeless problem, they're going to freeze anyway. Portland, Oregon is cold. Gary, Indiana is cold. So people in Portland, why are you dirt poor and living in Portland, Oregon, when you could just buy something in Gary, Indiana? You can buy an abandoned property somewhere in Gary, Indiana, and do something with it. I don't know what the rules are in Indiana. I have to look them up. So I urge you, if you're homeless in Los Angeles, Portland, Oregon, or Washington, D.C., anywhere, do some research first. Go use Google, go to the library, it's all free. Go to the Gary, Indiana website and see how to buy tax delinquent property. Now, a lot of times these properties are sold a certain time of the year. So you have to look that up too. Okay? So I do urge you, the way I see it, it's a gold mine. If I was in Indiana, Gary, Indiana, I certainly would buy a bunch of those properties. Because you got to understand, if you're homeless, the government's not going to do anything for you. And I wish black people would get that through their head. Government's not going to do anything for you. The government doesn't even like you. Okay? Nobody likes you. Nobody likes blacks. Okay? The elite doesn't like blacks. They like our music. They like our sports ability. But nobody likes blacks. Okay? So the government, who enslaved us 400 years ago, is not going to, they don't even like us. Okay? How can you trust a government that enslaved a group of people? How can you even trust a government like that? Okay, so the government cannot be trusted to help blacks. Okay, so I'm telling blacks, you better help yourself. Okay, I'm urging you, if you're homeless anywhere, whether you're homeless in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, or Portland, Oregon, go to the library and look up Gary, Indiana, and see if you can buy some of those properties. That solves your homeless problem right there. You know, when foreigners come over here, they don't see things like the way we see them. For example, in this particular area, there was this area, south side, near the blacks, of course. They had a lot of business. They were shabby, though. I mean, if I wanted the business, I would not have gone to one of those properties. I wouldn't have had a business because they're too shabby for me. But foreigners don't see that. You know, they, all those shabby buildings that I wouldn't have and nobody else, black person would have, is being taken over by Central Americans, some by Indians and Koreans. Okay? Because the buildings are already built. They don't see things like the way we see them. We see them as a shack, not fit for a store. They see them as, oh, what a nice grocery store. This is a good building. I can do something with it. Okay? So they see it totally different than we do. There's this building. It's a total shack. I wouldn't have any kind of store in there. But either Indians, I think they're Indians or Pakistani, got that little shack, and they sell to blacks all night. Blacks stand in line to buy that junk, buy that nasty food, and buy the 5-year-old candy. They stand in line to buy that nasty stuff. Okay, but see, and the Indians make a lot of money off of it. Okay, just from blacks buying junk, and that's all it is junk. Okay, so but it's located right in the black community. But like I said, blacks can do that. But like I said, we have. We have more discriminating taste. Now, I would not have a business like that. A shack selling nasty stuff to the black. I wouldn't have a business like that. A shack selling nasty food to the black community. I would not have. I don't care how much money I could make. I just wouldn't have anything like that. But the Indians have it, and they sell to blacks all night. Blacks are in line trying to get that nasty candy when they can go to Kroger or Food Line or Walmart and buy fresh candy, fresh cakes. I mean, you can buy a package of Snowball cakes at Walmart. When you get 6 to 12, you can buy a whole package of those at Walmart. But yet they go to the store and buy a package of Snowballs for $1.89. When if you bought it at Walmart, you would just pay like 32 cents. But see, the foreigners don't see things the way we see them. We see it as a shack, not fit for human habitation or whatever. And they say, well, we can have a store here. They think differently than we do. So I urge you, if you are homeless in Los Angeles, Portland, Oregon, which they have an overpopulation of homeless people, Washington, D.C. has an overpopulation of homeless people, I suggest whatever money you have, you take it and you go buy yourself an abandoned property in Gary, Indiana. That takes care of your homeless problem, because your home, that's your basic need. Is a house, a shelter. I mean, even in third world, the first thing they do is build a shelter. It's just brick and straw, but it's theirs. So having a home and not being on the street is basic. Okay, so I do urge you to do that. Have a nice day.